Greetings all! In this video I'm going to be promoting the Lieutenant from the 40k starter sets into a Captain using some fancy looking bits from the Age of Darkness box. So to begin with, I'm going to take the Lieutenant's body off the sprues. I'm going to be getting rid of the push fit tabs that normally hold the arms in place. Clippers did the bulk of the work, followed by a clean up with my knife to get a nice flat area for attaching some arms to later on. Now the base model here would normally be holding his pistol, so the holster is bare. However, this guy will have his hands full of other things, so I will need to find a donor pistol handle to go in there. In this case, I have the grapnel launcher from a Reivers kit that I can snip the handle off, and with a little cleaning and shaping with my knife, it can then be glued into the holster with some plastic glue, just like it was always there. With that holster now filled up, work on the body itself is pretty much done here, and the two halves can be glued together with some more plastic glue, and I can let it to set while I move on to the next part. The non-gravis armoured Bladeguard style Captain comes with a power sword, but I have this nice axe here from one of the Legion Praetor from the Age of Darkness box, and as I'm planning on using the other one for my army, it's going spare right now, and nothing screams, I am in charge, like a massive hulking axe. Now to fit this here giant axe, I'm going to have to use the arms that came with it. However, they will have little cutouts at the armpit area to fit to the Praetor body, which would result in a fair bit of green stuff work to fill those gaps if I were to attach it like this. Instead, I'm going to take my knife and carefully remove those sections from the Praetor body, cutting downwards into my mat to avoid losing some fingers. Not only will this give me the arm connections I need, but it will also leave the body itself able to accept other bits later on down the track when I inevitably make something else out of it. Once those tiny little bits there have been removed and cleaned up a little, I can then glue them into place on the arms, which will give a much flatter connection point. Though I did not imagine that this would be perfect, it would certainly reduce the amount of putty needed. With those attached, I decided to put together the arm and the axe to get at least one solid starting point, as there's a lot of moving parts here. And with the pipes coming off of the arm, it was fairly obvious what angle the axe needed to be at. So, using some plastic glue, I attached the two together and then added the shoulder pads from the Praetor before giving them all some time to set. As you may be able to guess by now, I'm going to be using the Cloak from the same kit. I really like these cloaks, and felt it would give this guy something else to mark him out from the original Lieutenant model. So, taking some plastic glue, I first attached it to one of the arms and gave it some time to set. Yet again, awful lot of setting time in this one. Next up, attaching the other arm to the cloak. This might seem a bit of a weird way to do things, and honestly, the axe probably could have been left till last here. But with the cloak holding the arms in the right place, they can be fitted to the model much easier. I have found, unfortunately, that the Citadel glue I'm using here, though really good, it takes a little bit longer to set than my previous one, though that is sadly in the doghouse after spilling all over my mat last time. So, there was a little bit of downtime waiting on everything here to set and harden up. With the arms, the cloak and the weapon all together, I could add some plastic glue to the shoulder joints and bring in the body. It was not a perfect fit, as the pose of the base model is slightly different, naturally, but only minor wriggling and a tiny trim of one shoulder was needed to get the arms into a sensible looking position and the cloak set away enough from the legs that it didn't look ridiculous. With the arms on, I realised I hadn't actually attached a little shield thing to his chest. So I took my clippers, cut the tab down a little bit and poked it in there. However, I would recommend putting it on before the arms. It would make life a lot easier. Now, as I said earlier, this wasn't perfect, so I'm going to take some of my green stuff putty and mix together enough to fill those gaps up. Rolling it into a small sausage shape, I can take some with my sculpting tools and poke, prod and squidge it into place around both arms, making the joints much better looking. A quick note here, if you're going to do this, build the cloak fully first. It has so many little bits and flappy bits and whatnots that, yeah, it's a pain if you do it afterwards. For his backpack, I felt that the original one from the Lieutenant kit was very adequate. A part of me did want to use the one from the Heresy kit, but I felt it was overkill, and this one fits really nicely into a Primaris force anyways. Now, before gluing it to the back of the model, I did trim the push fit tab a little, just to make it a tiny bit easier to go together, but otherwise, it was kept standard. For this guy to be a Bladeguard captain, he would be needing a storm shield, and it seemed sensible to use the one that came with the Lieutenant kit to start with. I'm going to attach it to his pack, as it clearly won't fit in his hands with the giant axe there. So after a test fit to see where it would sit, I could take my clippers to the back handle area to trim it down nice and flattish. With the handle trimmed, I could also take my tools to the backpack itself, flattening out the little domed section at the back a bit, so that the two could bond together a little better. And after checking the fit, the shield can then be glued into position. For the head of this fella, I wanted to go with something a bit different from that of the Lieutenant, but keep it in the Primaris range, so I settled on this one from the Heavy Intercessor kit, as it's a bit chunkier and I felt it fit nicely with the general look of this guy. Before I could fit it, however, I put a little green stuff into the hole left by the tab on the Lieutenant's head. This would also help raise the neck a little, as I found the Heavy Intercessor helms sit a bit low on the regular bodies, and I wanted to be able to pose it somewhat. Now at this point I had thought myself done and started to paint him up. And here is the parts I've forgotten to put on. The arm guards. Before I got too much further, I undercoated them quickly and attached them to his wrists, as the arms were looking a little strange without them. And with that little mistake fixed up, I could finish painting him in all his totally not an Emperor's Children colour scheme glory. What can I say? I liked the purple and gold and wanted to paint something fun, and all the little details and trim on this model were just too perfect to not paint this way. Salt drinkers, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, if you like this video, please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. According to the analytics, a lot of my returning viewers are not subscribed. Go on and hit that button, you know you want to. Anyways, a big thank you to those who already are, and who share my content around. You guys are beyond awesome. So until the next one, stay safe and have a good one all.